Good morning from Radio Row live in Los Angeles. I'm Kayla Broder with Roy Wessel. Joining us with Sports One, David Meltzer. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here, and makes me feel like I'm at home being with you and Roy. There's certain people I get to see beyond Radio Row, and there's certain people I only see at Radio Row. Blessed to have you in my lives at a variety of events that impact so many people throughout the year.
David, you've been involved in helping so many people. You go back through your career, many different angles in the sports world that you've been involved in, but you've always given back. Talk about where that philosophy came from.
Initially it came from my mom, who said the more you give, the more you receive. So I kind of had the wrong perspective of giving. It was more for a trade or a negotiation. And then through my career of always volunteering, giving back, I met a guy named Lee Steinberg, who most people know as a notable sports agent, and was blessed to be the CEO there. And Lee gave me a different perspective of giving, to tie in to everything that you do, a charitable purpose or a cause with everything that you do, not just some concerted effort, a strategic component of receiving and giving. And then I took it to a whole nother level through my own journey of, instead of just being a negotiator of giving, a zero-sum game. And that's really where I've lived the last 5 years of my life, where not only is it a purpose or a cause attached to everything I do in my life, but it's also a value add to everything I do. So no longer do I give to receive, I actually receive so I can give more.
And that's such an important message, as you talked about. You've always said you having the ability to gather gives you that power and strength to do more good. And you talk about the fact that many people are reluctant to accept. They struggle. How did you change that philosophy in your mind?
Well, asking was the first part. So, you can't receive unless you ask, and wishing and hoping and praying are forms of asking as well. So I think when I understood the component of that, when I appreciated what I had, which is I was taught to do from my mom, to appreciate, it adds value, right? Appreciation means to add value. Your house appreciates, it adds value. But then when you give it away, you now have a bigger vessel to fill. Most people don't ask to fill the vessel, so then they've wasted the appreciation because it dissipates and dissolves down. And in fact, I use my mom as an example of that as well. She's almost 80, and she's given away with raising 6 kids, being a second grade teacher, a Sunday school teacher, a community leader. She's dissipated and dissolved so that she's given away not only all her wealth, not only all her happiness and worthiness, but her own health, because she's put everyone else first. So I try to shift the paradigm and tell people, take care. It's like Southwest Airlines, right? Put your face mask on first and then help people. Most people are reluctant to do that because they feel like they're being selfish. It's not selfish to take care of yourself.
Well, I think we're all tired of the masks these days, so I don't think I don't know if we're looking at an analogy, but I like the idea of taking care of yourself. I think it's one of the things we see in Sports Philanthropy Network. One of the challenges so many sports nonprofits have, nonprofits everywhere, which is how do we ask, right? Because people think I'm doing good. Everybody should come running to me and want to help, right? And the challenge and the struggle is, how do we articulate for them what we're doing? How do we show them the good that we're doing so that they are inspired to help?
It's so interesting because I'm on a campaign called The Most Interested Man in the World. So you have the most interesting man in the world, and I'm trying to get people to ask open-ended questions. And I'll tell you why. Because what we really want to find first is open-minded people. Open-minded people have open hearts as well as open hands. And so many people waste so much time with closed-minded people, especially in philanthropy. They don't understand why someone seems to be charitable or humanitarian or philanthropic, but yet they don't open their hands up. And so I teach people through open-ended questions to find open minds first, then use open-ended questions on an open mind to determine where are the PowerPoints, the values to you. So I can ask you a simple question. Would it help you if I was able to do this? And then if you find a place where you're able to help someone, you can then transition that into, do you know anyone that can help me? And so a lot of times, especially with something like the Sports Philanthropy Network, we can find key points that are pulling at the open heart in order to effectuate an exchange of value, not just a ask of a closed mind, but an open mind with an open heart, open hands, asking the right questions to provide that value.
So, David, I actually love what you're talking about because I listen to some of your, I get the emails right through, I get text through my phone that say David Meltzer is going live, and I just click on the text. It takes a Clubhouse or wherever you're speaking through, and you're giving the details of exactly how to do this. Tell us a little bit about the different programs that you have on, because I love the details.
Well, aligned with my mission of empowering over 1 billion people to be happy, finding 1,000 people like you, Roy, you, Kayla, to help empower others to be happy, I have been doing free trainings beyond the videos that I do every Friday for over 22 years now. Started at Lee Steinberg doing these as sales trainings, and they've evolved where the community got involved. And then, believe it or not, the pandemic really accelerated my effort because people wanted that type of lessons. It's not just rah motivational lessons. I really like to give pragmatic examples and lessons that people can take with them, what I call inspirational lessons, so that you can live in spirit. So they could be as easy as 5 steps to selling anything, to how to get along with your mom, or ego. I've done ego training about people just to identify their ego. But that allows me to build a community, which is now in the millions, to help people with a positive mindset, heart set, and handset.
So, Dave, if people want to start becoming involved with those trainings, where can they find them? How do they sign up?
Everything that I do, I give my books for free, my guides for free, my templates and training. Just email me. I know that if you can't email, Google me. You'll find a place to reach me, but it's david@dmeltzer.com. I answer every email myself. I have templated and customized emails in case people are like, hey, can I register for your training? But believe it or not, I think it's really important not only to be productive, to add value to people's lives, but to be accessible to people so that you can actually help them.
Okay. And David, I heard you say david@dmeltzer.com.
Correct. Yeah, thank you.
I will thank you.
David, those trainings are so energetic. I think that one of the things that always hits me is, even though I've heard you speak many, many times, right, that they don't get tiresome. There's certain speakers that after you hear them once, you go back and hear them the second time, and it's like, okay, push play on the recording, and it's the same thing. You don't feel new energy. And every time I hear you, I know Caleb feels the same way. You get that energy. That takes a lot from you, right? That takes a lot for you to give that amount of energy each day. How do you keep that momentum and energy going each day?
So there's a major shift in my perspective and paradigm. I used to try to get happy, try to get healthy, try to get wealthy, try to get even worthy. Once I really instituted my own personal faith, non-religious, spiritual, even philosophical faith, to me, it was understanding what I was connected to and through. So my faith is based off of believing there's something bigger than me that loves me as much as my mom loves me. And so if I focus not on trying to get the love, the happiness from that, but instead, what am I doing to interfere with it? For example, most people spend about 80% of their time, it's about raising money, helping charity. The problem with most philanthropic people is they're so open-minded and open-hearted, they're banging their head against the wall with people that have closed minds. They're spending 80% of their time on people that are never going to give. And I see this, I call it people that bleed us. If we can just change the paradigm, but what am I doing to interfere with what's already mine, with this oneness, with this inspired energy? It's amazing what you can do during the day. And I call it coming through me. But I'm blessed to have and be able to share that energy that I receive every day by only spending minutes and moments in that bleeding state, that interfered state, instead with people that feed me like you two.
So I have to ask you a question, because we're all about creating hope and possibility through sports. We align, right? If you were doing a talk and I said, David, tell me the 3 most important things that you do every day to create hope and possibility for your family, what would you say those 3 things?
So number one is say thank you. I know it sounds simple, but there's two reasons that saying thank you is so important. Number one, gratitude is the only common denominator of happiness. No matter how rich, how poor, how sick, how well, how tall, how short, how skinny, how fat, it doesn't matter. You have to be grateful. And the second reason saying thank you is so important is it teaches something about the conscious continuum, the human aspect of being here. That's called coherence. See, saying thank you takes zero point 0.1 seconds and it's free. But yet most people don't remember to say thank you or don't say thank you. If you can't even remember and do it, what else are you not remembering and doing in your life? So I use gratitude, saying thank you every day before I go to bed and when I wake up, as the number one priority. Two, spend a minimum of a minimum of an hour a day. That's a productivity. A minimum of an hour a day on your health. This is a later in life lesson for me. But if you don't take care of yourself, if you're not healthy, you only get one wish a day. If you're healthy, you get as many wishes as you want. When we wish, we become a resource. So if you believe in source, in this powerful, omniscient, all-knowing, beautiful source, to be a resource, we then, can utilize that by asking, but you can't do it unless you're healthy. The last is time. Get in the habit of being a student of your calendar, and meaning that you have to understand that we live in the man-made construct of time. Be productive, accessible, and gracious with your time, and it's amazing how happy you'll be.
David, I think one of the things that always hits us, you talked about that time, that commitment, that energy, that gratitude is something that hit me. When Kayla and I first met, that was one of the first things that really jumped out at me was how openly she expressed that gratitude. And you look around this room, how many people are here? How many people have the good fortune of having an opportunity like this, right? Most sports fans around the world, most people would love an opportunity to be here for a day. And we still see people walking around here grumpy, unhappy, not expressing gratitude or thankfulness for the time that people have taken. So we want to express our gratitude and thank you for always being very generous with Sports Philanthropy Network with your time and support for the work that we're doing and the help we're trying to provide to so many groups. We really appreciate you coming on with us today.
I'm so grateful always to be here, but also to be a part of your network.
Thank you. And I just want to verify, people can connect with you on LinkedIn. That's David Meltzer on LinkedIn. They can email you at david@dmeltzer.com. And I want to give you just a minute to just really leave your parting of wisdom, because you're the epitome, honestly, of wisdom. I can ask you all these questions, but they need open-ended, David, because you really have lived and experienced something far greater than this room.
And I've been blessed with mentors like both of you, believe it or not. And I think it stems from my best two pieces of advice. One, being more interested than interesting. On a big campaign, we've all seen the most interesting man in the world. I want to do a big campaign to help people be the most interested person in the world. I want to do taglines like, one time David Meltzer asked 700 open-ended questions just to find out how we could be of service or value. Be the most interested man in the world. And then the easiest one I stole and enhanced from my mentor, Lee Steinberg, who I'm sure you'll have on as well. And that's be kind to your future self and do good deeds. It's amazing if you feel anxiety, depression, fear, anger, any of these feelings that so many of us during COVID through separation have felt, go do something for someone else, go do a good deed, and I promise you, you will feel great.
Well, Dave, you mentioned Lee a few times. Lee was just on with us right before you, and certainly he's been an icon at setting the bar for getting athletes involved with their foundations, having them get involved in community work. Just as we wrap up here, you've continued that through Sports One Marketing. How do you help the athletes frame their philanthropic goals?
For me, it's understanding what their values are, what's important to them, and then utilizing what's important to them, show them what vehicles, what communities are accessible in order to facilitate somebody that, may not have had tennis shoes when they were young, going and let's create a foundation or find a foundation that donates shoes. It's so important to be passionate, purposeful, and profitable with your philanthropy. And I think a lot of times we get confused about the money profit side, that you can help people without giving and receiving that money in order to support these causes and these people that really need it.
Dave, I want to say thank you for joining us today. I know you have 140 other tables to go visit. Folks, my name is Kayla Brad. I'm joined on Radio Row with David Meltzer from Sports on Market. Take us out.
Thank you, Kayla. David, we really appreciate your time. We appreciate all of our viewers, listeners taking time to join us and jump in on the excitement here on Radio Row and the quality of people. I know you're pulled a lot of directions. Caleb's done an amazing job getting the studio set up and coordinating the broadcast. So we thank everybody for sharing their time with us. Please remember to live generous. Thank you.